the game, 'cause see the boxing voice.
Welcome back, gang, for the first time and hopefully many more to come. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel and click on the notifications right here, this little bell, so you can get those emails every time we go live. Dmitry Salita, a question, you should head on over to ThaBoxingvoice.com and click on the support Patreon button, or go straight to patreon.com/ThaBoxingVoice. Click on that, ask Dmitry Salita a question. Don't leave that question in your head and be like, oh, you didn't ask, well, you didn't ask this, well, you didn't. Yo, come up in here, show some support, drop your question, and, we'll ask Salita. But here he is on the line, Dmitry Salita from New York, the promoter of Big Baby Miller and Clarissa Shields. What you got cooking for us, Dmitry? Good evening and Happy New Year. How are you?
Happy New Year to you as well. Thanks for having me on. It's my first time being in a live chat on the Boxing Voice, so it's great to be on with you.
So obviously you've made huge headlines with the most recent statement about a day ago, good 24 hours ago. You said that there are no roadblocks for Big Baby Miller for fights between he and Tyson Fury, he and AJ, and he and Deontay Wilder. Can you just elaborate a little bit on that for us?
Well, Jarrell's desire has been to fight the best fighters in the world and to make history and to show that he's the real champion and the best heavyweight in the world and the best heavyweight in the United States, from Brooklyn, New York. So all those guys are big names in the heavyweight division and all great fighters and great champions. And, he's been very vocal about calling everybody out. And as he has shown, he walks the walk and talks the talk. So, so all those fights could be great possibilities for him.
Now, when you say there's no roadblocks, is Big Baby contractually signed to a network at this time?
We have a great relationship with Matchroom, and Jarrell has been able to fight on all the big platforms, Showtime, HBO, and now The Zone, and we explore all possibilities at all times. There's been a lot of rumors with him fighting AJ. Many of those rumors, coming by the fact that AJ came here to the United States and was here at the Garden and talked about fighting at the Garden. Obviously that's something that we've been talking about for a long time. So there's obviously that big fight possibility. It's something that Jarrell has been very vocal about. We'll see what happens with that. It'll happen at the right time. I feel that, Jarrell definitely wants that opportunity, but I think, Joshua is the ball is in his court, as I said prior. So
now, Mr. Salita,
did you feel? Oh, go ahead, Ness.
Everybody wants some of him.
I mean, because he's very, very good at what he do. He's a very good promoter.
Yeah.
He didn't answer my question though.
He's moonwalking over here. Listen, Jarrell Miller has expressed frustrations. He's expressed frustrations not being able to get the type of fights that he wants. Yes, he's active, but Bogdan Dinu, Thomas Adamick, those are not the fights that he wants. He wants a Brit. As his promoter, are you going to get him an English muffin? That's what he's calling for. He doesn't care if it's Joshua or Fury. He's even saying he'll do David Allen. He'll do David Price. He'll do Dillian White. So what's going on?
All those fights are great possibilities. It's, the important thing I feel, and then you can, I think, understand me, that while you search for those opportunities, a lot of times you can sit around and just wait, and people forget about you. But Jarrell has been, fighting the best guys available, and he was supposed to fight the winner of Char Kendall, but Char failed the drug test, so that fight got pulled off. So he fought Bogdan Dinu because that fell through, but we still wanted to keep him busy. He wanted to stay busy, and he fought an undefeated young contender who has had a great amateur career, had a very good professional career, and he did what he had to do. The problems happen when young contenders and champions fight guys that they're supposed to look great against and they struggle. But Jarrell has been able to be explosive and even get better in each fight and show a different side of his abilities in each one of those fights. So I feel that as a fighter, he's progressing. He's fighting like a 6-round fighter, coming up, being so active. And that's very, very good for him. And very good for the heavyweight division. So, those big fights, we're working on, we're keeping his name out there. And I feel that it is inevitable that one of those fights is going to happen.
Hey, Dmitry, Mario Munguia here. So listen, I want to take it back a little bit. Obviously, you're laying some new information on us, but I just want a little clarity because, you know, I grew up in the era of the HBO Showtime where they would put on cards, and then the person that fought on that network in the same weight class, they end up fighting each other. When I first signed up to DAZN and I saw Joshua's name being highlighted on there and Big Baby's name being highlighted on there, I thought we were going to see them fight on DAZN or something. I thought that seemed like to be like an avenue that we'd be going down. When y'all had those talks with DAZN, were there any sort of implications, or did you get that kind of feeling at all that Joshua fight was imminent?
I mean, that is the plan. I mean, you know, we've worked very closely with Eddie and with Matchroom, and that is a fight that we like to get. But you know, a lot of times, you know, unified champions like Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder, you know, there's lots of things that go into their decision, and we can't always control it. The only thing that we can do is we can stay busy. We can align ourselves for the moment with the best possible avenues to be able to get those fights. Stay active, stay busy, stay in the news, stay relevant, and that's what Jarrell has been doing. And I feel that, you know, in this environment, in the heavyweight division, Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury, I feel, are glued together for the next fight, and it's going to be a very interesting rematch. And I feel that the biggest fight in heavyweight boxing is Jarrell Miller versus Anthony Joshua. You know, whether it's going to happen next, I don't know, but you know, we're staying active, we're staying busy. Jarrell, you know, just went over to England a couple of weeks ago. He's doing what he got to do, and it'll happen at the right time.
As a promoter, Dmitry, are you going to hold out Big Baby's free agency as leverage? I mean, right now, you have to know how valuable he is with an undefeated record. The heavyweight division is booming. Networks are paying big money. His DAZN deal is expired. So, you know, give us some answers here. 2-fight deal is done. Are you only resigning? Are you only resigning if you get that AJ fight in writing? Because Daniel Jacobs isn't signing to DAZN. He's waiting to make sure he gets that Canelo fight in writing. Or are you going to use that as leverage? Because you got Deontay Wilder on the other side. You got Tyson Fury over there on Frank Warren's side. Like, there's places to take Big Baby.
It's you know, it's a great time to be a heavyweight. It's a great time to be Jarrell Miller, and you know, not only being a great fighter but having such a great personality, and really being from Brooklyn, New York, adds a lot of value to the story. That's just the truth. So you know, I feel that, you know, we as a team have done a great job of keeping them busy and keeping them climbing up the ranks, and you know, we're keeping our options open and just doing the best to promote and progress Jarrell, you know, to the elite status. And with each fight, with each promotion, you know, his name is going to get out there more and more, bigger and bigger. And, you know, to the point where the fans are going to demand the big fights. And I feel like there's a great energy for you know, from the boxing community for Jarrell to fight somebody like an Anthony Joshua. Again, I don't know if it's going to be Anthony Joshua's next fight, but I feel that that momentum is building and building and building. And again, Jarrell just has to keep doing what he's doing, be sensational, get out there to the press, and let people know about him. I feel like, you know, he has a lot. His brand can grow a lot more bigger and better. But you know, for that to happen, it obviously takes activity. It takes significant fights. And I believe that 2019 is going to be a great year for the heavyweight division and for Jarrell.
Can you give us your top 3 wish list fights for Jarrell? Because you're being very slippery. We need some concrete names here.
I'm just you Nesta, you put everybody to the wall, man. I think the top 3 fights are Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury. You know, with Jarrell's personality and Tyson Fury's personality and the way they talk and the way they get into the heads of their opponents. I mean, I feel like that fight would be just an incredible promotion, just because they would clash and and it would just be a huge, huge, huge fight that would get just a tremendous amount of exposure. And obviously Deontay Wilder, all those 3 fights. I feel the top 4 heavyweights in the world today are Anthony Joshua, Jarrell Miller, Deontay Wilder, and Tyson Fury. Not in that order, but all, I feel Jarrell is the best, but those are the top 4 heavyweights. And all those possibilities with each one of them fighting one another is very, very interesting. Do you agree with that?
I totally agree, man. I want Big Baby to get a shot. I don't think any other heavyweight, maybe Dillian White, the case would be made that no other heavyweight other than.
I gotta tell you, Dillian White, did a great job, great fighter. But Anthony Joshua already beat him, so I feel like the mystique and the mystery of that big fight is kind of gone. It's kind of a foregone conclusion that Anthony most likely is going to win. It's probably a big fight in the UK, because of the fact that they fight over there and Dillian has been progressing. But I don't know how big of a fight it is for fans around the world. So I feel that at the current moment, Anthony Joshua's first opponents are Dillian White and Jarrell Miller. But, with that being said, Jarrell is going to continue to stay busy, stay active, build up his name, and I know that those big fights are going to roll around in the very near future.
Hey, Dmitry, this is Ron Goodall. Just there was some. I guess I want your opinion. There was these rumors and talks about a likelihood of a Dillian White and Vladimir Klitschko return. Granted, at that point, if this does become some reality, does Vladimir become a fighter that interests you guys? And also King Kong Ortiz. We mentioned all the other names. How about King Kong Ortiz? What's your stance on these guys?
Well, I think Vladimir Klitschko is a heavyweight legend, and Jarrell has been to training camp with him many times, back when he was a young kid. So that would be tremendous. But I don't think that Vladimir is coming back. I did hear a little bit of rumors, but then those rumors were debunked. But, who knows? Obviously, Vladimir would add a very interesting mix to the heavyweight division and to the top names. So, we'll see what happens with that. Who was the other guy you said? Oh, Ortiz. Well, Ortiz is a good fighter, but I feel like, he doesn't speak English and he hasn't gotten the exposure. And I don't say it as I'm just saying just in terms of fan exposure, he hasn't gotten the exposure, of a big fighter. So he is. He just a level below those guys in terms of name recognition and obviously Deontay Wilder beat him. So he's just a great possibility down the line. But he's not the elite. He's great, but he's just he's B+.
So, Dmitry, I just want to make sure I'm clear because, as Mike and Ness said, you were very good at your job, and you're finding ways to give us information without giving us too much information. But plain and simple, there are no plans right now. Y'all are currently not in negotiations with AJ, Wilder, or Fury, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And what would you feel the percentage would be that any one of those fights are landed in 2019? More than 50% or less than 50%?
Yeah, I think around 50% plus. Things change every day in the boxing world, and so it's very difficult to predict how things are going to happen in terms of athletic achievements of these fighters and the business, and the lay of the land from the business point of view. I feel like in today's day and age, the boxing world is going through a big change, a monumental change, with HBO getting out and all these new platforms making a big play in the sport. So, I don't think it's very fresh. The business is very fresh in terms of just the business interactions. So we got to see how it plays out. The first 2 quarters of this year, it'd be very interesting to see. I'm a fan of boxing. I love boxing. I've been around boxing since some young boy. So it's just very interesting to see how all that plays out. I think that all of these platforms need viewership. They need great fights, and you know, Jarrell, with his skills and his personality, adds a great flavor to all of these fights. So I feel that there's a great possibility that you know, that the big fights, the huge fights, happen from this year.
Let's say you're not able to get those top 3 names, and Eddie Hearn makes a Dillian White offer for you over in the UK on pay-per-view. Would that be a fight that you're consider taking because of Dillian White being highly ranked in the WBC and the WBO?
Well, Jarrell is the mandatory in the WBA, so you know, we're just waiting for that situation to play out. You know, Jarrell has expressed some interest in fighting Dillian White. We just got to see and balance it out with everything else that's on the table, and you know, and see what it is. You know, there may be a point where Jarrell, you know, doesn't need to go. Dillian White is a big fight. It's not a huge fight, so I don't know if he needs to go somewhere else to get that fight. You know, I don't know. So each situation is different, and we obviously got to see. There's, you know, the athlete side of it and the business side of it, and so we got to see what makes the most sense for him. And it's definitely a great fight and a big fight possibility for later on this year.
All right, Dmitry, 3 more, and these come from the people from our Ask Dmitry Salita question on Patreon. It's Joseph Rodriguez out of Texas says, can we hear a good Eric Kelly story?
Eric Kelly story. Well, Eric Kelly is from Bed-Stuy Boxing Club, 5-time Golden Glove champion, I think. When I was a kid in the amateur boxing, you know, Eric Kelly was the king of New York City. He was on Sports Extra, which is a program on Fox 5. They followed him through the Golden Gloves, and he was really a big star. So I don't know any Eric Kelly stories off the top of my head, but he's a great boxing personality and a great guy from New York City. That's been a big part of the New York City boxing community.
All right, we got Eric Cruz in Texas. As a boxing promoter, what would you like boxers to understand that they have a hard time understanding?
Well, I feel that it's very important for a boxer to have a good amateur career, to win the nationals, to compete internationally. I feel that's like a college education. You know, a boxer's college education is the amateur career, and it's a very, very important part of the growing process. So sometimes, you know, fighters want to go after the money, but really, it's a much easier, smoother path to glory if you have the education, you have the experience of being able to compete at the highest amateur level and be successful. So I feel that it's very important to put that in, you know, before one decides to turn pro. So you know, that's one very important tidbit that I would, you know, that I feel is an important rule. There are exceptions to the rule. There are some great fighters that didn't have great amateur careers. Obviously, it happens, but as a general rule, that's a very important factor.
All right, Andre Diacono in New Jersey. What is the role of Greg Cohen Promotions in regards to Big Baby at this point?
Greg Cohen Promotions is my partner, so he's a partner in Jarrell Miller, and you know, we communicate on decisions and the right way to guide his career. So Greg Cohen Promotions, he's the co-promoter in Jarrell Miller, and Big Baby Promotions is also Jarrell has his own company called Big Baby Promotions. So, you know, that is also part of the decision-making process, you know, in the fights that take place for Jarrell and all the decision-making stuff regarding where his career is headed.
Last one from the UK. Elm says, is it true that Fresno Kendo did not accept the fight because Miller did not want to enroll in drug testing?
First time I heard something like that. That I don't know.
What was the reason the Frez fell out? Because I definitely did an interview with Big Baby where he says that the Frez was offered $500,000 and didn't take it, right?
Yeah, it was a really just complicated situation because of just the timing of everything, the way everything fell out. You know, the way. I'm sorry. the way. I'm sorry, guys. I'm live and I'm home and my kids.
Nah, it's no problem. Listen, you told me that you
knocking the door.
Nah, look at you told me 7:30 was the limit. So if you got to go, we'll pick it up another day. It's always a pleasure, though, Salita.
I love this was great, and I'd love to come back on and let people know what it is, baby.
No problem.
Thank you for your time, Mr. Salita.
Thanks, man.
Thank you, brother.
What is up, TBV family? Yes, YouTube has been cutting funding to their channels as of late, and with net neutrality going through its process, the internet is changing. If you want to keep your favorite channel intact, coming up with tons of content, and plus get hours and hours of extra content, head over to patreon.com/ThaBoxingVoice to become a member of the TBV family and help support the channel. Peace.